This segment is brought to you by Jig Masters. Step up your game with high-quality performance jigs, spinner baits, buzz baits, and more from jigmasters.com. And always, when in doubt, get the jig out.
You're tuned in to Off the Water. I'm your host, JP. This is the premier source for all things to do after a long day of fishing. Chill out, grab a cold one, let's go explore what there is to do off the water.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to Off the Water. I'm your host, JP, and big announcement. Big announcement is that I am a married man. So for all those who been wondering where the show has been and what I've been up to, well, this is what I have been up to. I share this with you guys. You guys can see my my beautiful wife. We got married last Wednesday, and there we are right at dinner right after the wedding. So we had a very long week, to say the least. We got married on a Wednesday. We had family and friends come in on Thursday and Friday. And then we had the actual reception on Saturday. And then Sunday was, all honesty, there wasn't like a lot of drinking going on, but it was just from so much. I was so exhausted on Sunday. I think I fell asleep by 7 o'clock in the evening. But yeah, there it is, the official band. So had an awesome week getting married and all the preparation, everything that led up to it. Actually is going to lead us into what this episode is about today, and that's honeymoon. And right now I have one of our other hosts from Paddle and Fan, and we have a couple more hosts jumping in as well, but none other than Mr. Dan Perry. What's up, buddy?
Hey, congrats, man.
Thank you. Yeah, so we were talking before the show, just the preparation and stuff it takes to go into this. It's a lot of work, but it's so worth it. Once everything's done, and the way everything falls, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I know, my honeymoon was great, and I've been married for 12 years now, and it's it's the best thing that ever happened to me. Legitimately, like everything I am now, success-wise, career and life and everything else, is only because of my wife. So yeah, it's no doubt it made me a better man.
Absolutely. And I feel the same way, even beforehand, with marriage. I have a wonderful woman who had enough to say, all right, we're going to take you on, start dating. And, our love has grown, and we grew as individuals together to get to where we're at this point in our lives. And, a lot of what's being done today, and is for our future together. So, when we took that sacrament in front of God and our families, it was one of the happiest days of my life thus far that I can remember. It was awesome.
Very cool, man. I definitely feel it from you. Like you're kind of, you got that just married glow, I guess, to you. Or you just got married and she's putting it on you. I don't know, one of the two. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but the one thing we've been back and forth on right now is planning our honeymoon. And that's that's actually kind of becoming harder than what we actually thought it's going to be, just because we're finding out things have really gone up in price.
I believe it. Yeah.
So with that being said, before we jump to that, I just want to give our listeners a heads up about us and Paddle and Fin. If you guys are following the trail series, July 31st, we have our tournament here in Illinois on the Fox River. Guys, get signed up for it. It's going to be a blast. You're going to see me out there, just kind of all along all stretches of the river. It's a fun river to fish. It is notorious for smallmouth. There's been actually a couple good smallmouth. Been seeing pictures come in from our local groups here of some nice 20 to 22 inch smallmouth being caught. So they're out there. You guys go get them and make this such a fun event. I can't wait to see you guys. And if you have any questions, reach out to any of us here at Paddle and Fin, and we'll help get you in the right direction.
I wish I lived closer so I could go, but a little too far from me.
I hear you. It's just like, in the same, trying to get down there, making plans. I actually, one of my buddies who's a fireman as well, they're planning a redfish trip down in Louisiana in October. And I'm kind of I'm like, hey, don't definitely count me out, but I'm waiting to see like what we're going to do as a group, as a podcast, where we're going, because we have that all put together. But if I could definitely get down to, that far south to go red fishing, that'd be awesome. Especially around October, it's supposed to be really good, from my understanding.
Anytime in the winter, whenever it's cooler, is the best time to go trout and redfish and all that.
Yep. Well, let's get into it, man. Let's talk destinations for honeymoons. So, being that you have the experience in this one, why don't you go ahead and tell us about your honeymoon? Where'd you go? What'd you do? All the good stuff.
Yeah, we were pretty fortunate. We got some money, I think, as a gift for a honeymoon. So we decided to go to Key West. I mean, it's just somewhere you always hear about, and you want to go. Didn't do any fishing while we were down there, but we went down there, and whenever we were making the plans, it was either we could stay, because it's pretty expensive. I mean, it's Key West. Like, you could either go and, so we could either stay 5 days at a not as nice place, like a great place, or we could stay 4 days and we could stay at a really, really nice place for the same price. So that's what we did. With that money and our money, we put in and we stayed at the Waldorf Astoria. I forget the name of it, the actual name of the resort, but it's a resort that's been there since like the turn of the century. It's been there forever. It's been renovated, and it's a pretty small hotel room, but it had two pools, and it had the perfect view right in between the two pools, and then overlooked the ocean. I mean, it's just like unbelievable. And I had always heard of Waldorf Astoria. I love that movie, Coming to America, the old one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like King Jaffer, he stays at the Waldorf, and you just always that name is like the pinnacle of what hotel is. And so yeah, we stayed at the Waldorf, and it's just absolutely as nice as you could imagine. It was pretty unbelievable. And especially a guy from Mississippi, growing up in a trailer, to stay somewhere like that. I mean, it wasn't like they're not throwing down rose petals in front of you anywhere. I mean, it's like a regular hotel, but it was really super nice. And so the trips that we did is every day we had something different planned. Day one, we did, I think the first day we jet skied all the way around Key West. They do jet ski tours. So because it's an island, and there's a bridge there's only one bridge in, one bridge out, all the way down the Keys.
Route 1.
Yeah, there you go. And so we did the first day one, we did a jet ski tour all the way around it. We both got our own jet skis, and that was a blast. And I think besides that day, whenever we got done, we went out to eat, just went around the town, going seeing stuff. They have like Key West key lime pies. They have like, that's a store, all the cool stuff. Jimmy Buffett's, he's got a place we went to. I'm not sure what days we did what, but we went to the Ernest Hemingway house. He used to live down there. We went to, Yeah, like everything. We went everywhere in Key West. Like really 4 days that's about all you need in Key West because there is, it's a little island. There's only so much to do. There you go. Got the beach.
Yep.
There's only so much you can do in Key West. So eventually you're going to kind of run out of stuff to do, I guess. But so after this second day is whenever we went scuba diving. So they have this lady that comes to how we did it. The lady came to the pool at the Waldorf and taught you how to scuba dive in the pool, like a 1 hour lesson. And she wasn't ugly either, by the way. So she came, and she was from another country. I think it was like Poland. And she, so she showed us how to scuba dive. And I had done it one time before in Mexico. I'm not licensed or anything, or certified, whatever it is. So she came in the pool. We did it for an hour, and then we went out on the boat, and we scuba dived out there, me and my wife, and that was unbelievable. It's scuba diving. It's like the fish. The difference between snorkeling and scuba diving is the fish aren't afraid of you whenever you scuba dive, like you're a fish. So they're, they don't run. So that was obviously amazing. And then we went and saw the town, and after that, and did husband and wife things all the time. That was the best part of the honeymoon. So no matter where you go, it doesn't really matter where you go, you're still going to have a good time. I mean, so that's the most important part of that. And then one night we did a sunset cruise. Like they put you in the back of this nice boat. There's like 4 or 5 couples, and they had tables in the back, and we did dinner, like a dinner sunset cruise. That was cool, very romantic. That one was a little more for the lady. That was
right.
The food was still great, so I can't complain. And that was it. I think that's all the trips that we did. We didn't one day, because you have one day whenever you're leaving. So one day we didn't really do anything, but that was the 3 trips that we did. And also there's some other ones, like looking back on it, there's some other places that you can stay. They have like bungalows on the water, not on Key West, but on the other keys, that you could just take an Uber to it. It'd probably be pretty expensive, like a $50 Uber, but you go do that, and they're just like you rent kayaks, and I know people that do it. I know other people that have done that, where you just get like this little bungalow on the beach, and it's kind of like a little cabin. That would be really cool, and they're not very expensive. They're only like $150 a night, which I mean for US, like a reasonable price.
That's very reasonable.
Yeah, to have a place on the beach on the sand. So I mean, there's some other places in the Keys that aren't Key West, aren't the Waldorf, and there's like more chill, a little more scenic than they are city. So I would say my trip, whenever we look back on it, I don't know how it worked out, but it was like, to us, it was the perfect honeymoon. I mean, we had something to do. We weren't too busy. The food was amazing. The place was amazing. So it wasn't a really long trip, but it was a perfect trip for what it was. And we 12 years later, we look back at it as one of the greatest trips we've ever been on, because it was just perfect.
No, I find it awesome that you brought up Key West, because we initially were looking at Lake Tahoe, and literally as of
amazing too.
As of this morning, we have decided against Lake Tahoe, and I brought it up to her. I'm like, it's, be honest with you, the airfare there alone is insane. It was almost $2,000 for airfare, and that's for round trip for both people was $2,000. Wow. And I'm like, that's just itself, that's a lot. And I'm like, I've never paid that much money for anywhere. I've gone to Costa Rica for cheaper, for way less than that. So I'm like,
pay that much? That's insane.
Because demand is high right now. everything's opening up with restrictions are going away, and everyone's out. So many people. I don't have TikTok. She has TikTok, and they were showing videos of. It looks like, think of like Gunnersville on a summer day. That's all week. All week it was like that, and everything's just I guess it's insanely packed with tourists, so on and so forth. So obviously the South Lake Tahoe and everywhere surrounding Tahoe itself is taking a bite at the bit right now to cash in on that while they can. But like I said, the airfare itself, that's kind of that's enough to drive you away. So she's the one who said, "How about Key West?" I go, "You're kidding me, right?" She's like, "No." Now I've been to Key West and I love it, and I talked about wanting to go. If I could pick a place, I would love to go there for again and have it as a honeymoon destination. It is absolutely awesome. And I'm going to pick your brain on some things too, because I'm familiar with the area, and you could kind of give a little more insight. When I went down there, it was a boys' trip. It was just. But it was me and a bunch of the guys from the firehouse. We go down there, and we had a good time. And I think we did what you said. We did 4 days. We had an Airbnb that was right on the where the last mile marker, the 90 miles to Cuba buoy is. Mm-hmm. It was right down the street from there, so right by the public beach. So we stood on the south end, but Duval Street's right there. So literally you turn out the house, walk a half a block and make a right, you're on Duval Street. And that's where, all the that's where the nightlife, that's where all the shops and all that are along for Key West over there. But while we were out there too, we went to Dry Tortuga. I don't know if you heard about.
I wish we had gotten to do that.
And that's something that we, as we're starting to look at plans, what you did for scuba diving, we were actually looking at that to do either snorkel or scuba dive around the infrastructure itself, which would be pretty cool. Now, when you guys went scuba diving in that area, did you guys see coral that was still alive?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's insane, because when I went snorkeling the last time out there, back, and that was 2019, there was all the coral had turned gray.
Oh, really?
Yep. And the locals and the biologists, there's a whole thing out on it. They're saying that's literally from the greenhouse gas effect, because when that superheated gas comes back down from the ozone, it's driving straight down into that ocean floor and heating enough to where that coral's pretty much cooking. That's how it gets in like that casing gray state. And if you literally take it, it just disintegrates in your hand.
That's crazy. Yeah. When it was still alive and thriving. I mean, like I said, it was 12 years ago. So
yeah, that's crazy to think, just about, over that amount of time that can happen like that. But you give some good perspective about Key West from a honeymooner's point of view. And definitely, I could definitely see where you're coming from with, you guys always had something to do. And when we were down there, one thing that I showed Olivia that we kind of want to do again is there's a place to rent kayaks, and then you could kayak the mangroves in and around Key West, which is pretty cool in itself. And so we're looking at all that. When you went down there, do you remember some of the places you went to eat?
I really don't, because it's been 12 years. I wish I did. I mean, besides Sunset Cruise on the boat, I remember that. But man, all I can remember is me and my wife having a great time.
Absolutely.
Where we all ate though.
There's one place that we couldn't get into because it was booked up every day while we were down there, and I'd love to try to get there. Is Tukunks, which is renowned seafood. that they have that's caught fresh every day, brought in, cooked on site there.
That's cool.
That's something I would love to get back to try to have, to try to get in and have that while down there. Locally sourced like that. That's you can't get any fresher than that.
How's the airfare down there if it's so expensive to get to Tahoe? Is it bad there too?
Round trip per person was $400. And that's so $800 compared to $2,000.
Yeah.
And that kind of that offsets the cost. I mean, right now you're in prime season for it down there right now with it being so it's a little high on Airbnb. We're looking at a couple more places, but we're probably going to average around maybe $300 a night, and we're staying 4 nights. So that $1,200 kind of offsets, with that, just the airfare alone it would have taken to get out to Lake Tahoe.
If you have, I mean, if the cost is a big issue, which I mean it is for all of us, have you thought about like going to Yellowstone or doing something like that?
Yeah, so we've been out that way. The only
travel, man. You get all over. I don't get anywhere.
Yeah, so there's two issues that come with that. Airfare's one, and timing is
driving. Yeah, just drive.
So with my work schedule, I could only probably get up to about 7 days off.
Gotcha.
With what I can do. And with that said, if you were to drive, because when we did it, now again, same group of guys who were in Key West, we did this trip in an RV going out west. We'd rented an RV. It took us pretty much 24 hours of straight driving from Chicago to get to the Grand Tetons, which is just south of Yellowstone. And that's not including, all the stopping and everything else that comes with it. So you got to take that into account. And then you also had to take into account too, if you had to get rerouted or something happens on those routes coming back home, adding a day or two for unexpected things. So it actually winds up being a longer trip than what you can plan. If you do fly.
We did it whenever I was a kid, but we went to like all the stuff in South Dakota, like Wall Drug and Devil's Tower and the whole strip, Mount Rushmore, all Corn Palace.
We did Tetons, Yellowstone, and then Devil's Tower was awesome. I had no idea what the heck Wall was until we actually stood in Wall with the RV at an RV park because we went to the Badlands that next morning. But Wall is like the biggest tourist trap ever. I'm like, what in the hell is this? And then I was like, oh man, it's just a tour. It's just a tourist trap.
I actually saw a dude here in Birmingham today at the hockey rink. He had a sticker on his car said Wall Drug. I said, I like your Wall Drug sticker. He said, yeah, it went a couple of years ago.
What a coincidence. I got the magnet on my fridge too. It's I was like, well, I'll probably maybe one more time in my life probably be here, but take it for what you get and then get some ice while I'm here too.
Yeah. Well, one trip that we had talked about doing and like we would really like to do is you fly up to this. I mean, it's totally off Key West, but you fly up to Quebec City. And then you take the train down through like, I don't know, man, my Canadian geography is poor at least at best. But it's like Quebec City, is it Montreal, Winnipeg, and then Toronto, and then Niagara Falls, and then you can fly back. So you drive up and train down. That'd be a heck of a trip too.
Yeah, that'd actually be pretty cool.
Especially in the summer, whenever it's warm in Canada.
The problem with that right now is we can't get over the border.
Canada's closed.
Canada's so closed.
No, yeah. man, I'm not going to get into political stuff, but we've been open for a long time. Ain't nobody got
Yeah.
COVID down here. So
Yep. It's
come
yeah,
on.
because I remember when Jimmy was asking a couple months ago, if we were going to go to St. Clair, staying on the Canada side, and it just we could never get a straight answer. Then it said they were not opening their borders, so that's their decision. But yeah, so kind of keeping it more domestically here,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
but for sure, you know what, Key West though is not out the question. If we did do Canada, we talked about me and her talked about it before, driving up through Michigan, through Sault Ste. Marie, and all the way up into Ontario, and then the possibility of one day, because obviously we can't do it now, but doing a fly into one of the lodges,
Yeah.
and then I'd be fishing, but she likes the pristine nature, but I'd be chasing after walleye and smallmouth while she was doing the pristine nature.
Well, they have that. If you ever watched the Scott Martin challenge, and
Yeah.
like they do a couple of things where they were on Rainy Lake up somewhere up in Canada, but you rent houseboats. That'd be a really cool trip.
International Falls.
Oh, is that what it is? Cool.
Yep. Yeah, International Falls. And yeah, you know what? And we looked into some stuff. The houseboats are out the question right now. Everything's booked up until Labor Day.
Dang it. Never mind.
Call Richard and have him kick somebody out for us. But yeah, I mean, so other ideas though that we have. So we have a couple more on the back burner, and then maybe you could throw some insight too, because they're not too far from you. We were looking at Savannah and Charleston.
Savannah's good. My wife and her mom are actually going to Savannah on a little trip. I think it's like 4 hours from here, from where I live. I went there for 2 weeks for work one time to the liquefied natural gas plant there in Savannah, and it was okay. It's like a toned down New Orleans. Like,
okay,
we used to live in New Orleans, and New Orleans is obviously like at 10. They like to party in New Orleans, and it's a little bit more dangerous, and things are just amplified a little bit in New Orleans. But Savannah's a little more chill. They've got like a cool Riverwalk area. It's very like it has that same New Orleans, like old French kind of colonial kind of vibe, because all the buildings are so old and all that. But yeah, Savannah's definitely a cool town, like worth going to. And it's got like a cool romantic kind of vibe to it for sure.
Cool.
I can see that being a trip. The only time I've been to Charleston is whenever I was a kid with my dad. That's the only time I went there, and we went to the fort and all that. But can't tell you too much about that one. But Savannah, I went as an adult. It was nice for sure. They have like horse-drawn carriages and like ghost tours and stuff like that. So yeah, it would be cool for sure.
Now, both of these are coastal towns, so you still have you get that old feel, and you can still get like the beach vibe, and get that going with it too. And for us, we're foodies, man. We like the food scene too. So I know both of those cities within 2 hours of each other too have a great food scene. It draws a lot of people down there for it as well.
I'm ashamed to admit it, but I'll say my wife got me into it. But we watch that damn show Southern Charm, and that's in Charleston. But yeah. I mean, Charleston, the food, Hilton Head, I mean, all those areas in between those two cities would be cool.
Cool, man. Yeah. So that's kind of that's our plan with it right now. But I think we're probably going to go to Key West.
Key West.
I mean, just kind of the way everything's falling in line for it. I think that's where our destination is going to be. So
that's hard to beat, man. I mean, we like I said, we wouldn't take back our trip to Key West, our honeymoon, for anything. It was just perfect. So
cool. Well, that we got the travel part out the way. Let's talk about you a little bit, man. What's been up with you? You're a returning guest on the show. You're competing in a few of the KFLs. Oh, got Josh coming in.
And now he went somewhere cool for his honeymoon.
Yeah, let's get it in here.
What's up?
What's up?
How you guys doing?
Good. Where is it you went for your honeymoon?
I went to Hawaii, specifically Kauai.
That's right.
Nice.
Was that big money?
It wasn't big money. We actually skipped on doing a big wedding. We just kind of got married outside. I got a simple suit. You know, she got a nice dress. We literally had immediate family. So it was her mom, dad, brother, his wife and kids, and then my mom, my sister, husband, and her kids. And that was it. And then we went to a nice dinner afterwards. But we spent more money on our honeymoon than we did the actual wedding. So we were going to do a bigger wedding, but she was like, I'd rather just go somewhere fun, you know, or go somewhere really nice. And my ex, she had actually been to Hawaii like 5 or 6 times. So her dad worked for, I want to say maybe United Airlines. So they could travel there cheap, you know, like flight wise. So
I've been to the airport in Honolulu 4 times, and I've never been out of the airport.
Really?
Yeah, just going through, you know, going to Asia.
For the military.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, dude. I mean, are you guys still talking? I didn't want to interrupt you. What you guys' points were made?
Yeah, you're good.
So, what do you want to know about it?
Yeah. So, just like I asked Dan, you know, what are some memorable things that you did while you're on your honeymoon? Things to see, things to eat, pretty much the whole spiel of what you can remember.
All right. I don't drink, and she didn't drink, so it was we remember everything. But like Kauai is really cool compared to some of the other island stuff. Like it has a restriction on how high they will build their buildings, so they don't have like really big hotels. So what's cool about that is that it's very visually pleasing there. I mean, it's basically a volcano, right? Like it is, there's just a mountain in the middle of it. And it's the coolest place I've been into because I was on a beach with a rainforest behind me and a mountain. Like literally, like all I have to do is turn around and there it is. And their beaches are gorgeous there. I got to swim with sea turtles like on my own. Like I didn't even have to do like a guided trip. We happened to stop at this beach and I could see him out there. We had snorkel gear back at the condo. We grabbed that and literally I just swam like 20 yards offshore. And the way the current would be, you would just sit still, look down in the water on your, you know, floating on your belly and go right across over top of them. And that was really cool.
Majestic.
Yeah, it was cool. The only bad thing is the time of year that we got married in September, and it was right at the start where the coral starts to break up a little bit, like where it kind of starts to almost look like it's dying out, and it happens in the like I didn't know but there's like an off season to it. So instead of being like really clear water, it was slightly stained and a greenish hue to it. So it kind of made things a little harder to see like that. I mean, you could still see it clear. It just wasn't that like, you know, crazy clear water that sometimes they're known for. But
that was a thing.
Yeah. It's but we did something fun every day. So we did like one kind of thing every day. We went zip lining. We took like an ATV tour, which was actually pretty wild. Like you would think like ATV tour, you're like, oh, it's going to be kind of lame. It was pretty intense, dude. Like it rained and it got like kind of sketchy out on the trails. And there's some spots you're going down. You're like, dude, that's a steep drop. Like I'm going to be hurting like real bad or dead, you know, if I fall off the side of this thing. And I learned that the wife was not experienced four-wheeler as she thought she was. Like, and I was like, why is she so slow? Like, she was holding everybody up. And I'm like, I thought you rode these things before. And she's like, I have. And I'm like, well, what's going on? And it come to find out, she had ridden in like somebody's backyard, like on flat surface, like, you know, in a contained area. She'd never been trail riding on like a quad before. So I had to kind of give her some pointers on how to ride an ATV. She kept sitting down, and you can't sit down on ATVs because it will buck you off like a horse. And so I was like, you got to stand up and ride these things like you ride a horse. Like, you've got to kind of keep your knees a little bent, and you need to kind of roll with the punches, like, in a sense, you know, as you hit those bumps, you're going to kind of ride them out. And
Right. Taking that shock.
it helped. But that ranch that we rode on was where they recorded Jurassic Park, the scene where they're all running with the dinosaurs on foot, and the dinosaurs are flying by them everywhere. That was recorded. Like, there was a field right there where that was. A lot of that movie was recorded out there. The coffee is amazing there because it's like grown on the islands. You know, we were all talking about that coffee thing that Brad was talking about. I had the macadamia nut coffee there. I cannot remember who it was, but it was the best coffee I've ever had. Like, it's like one of the only coffees I've ever had that I didn't want to put creamer in it. Like, I'm not a fan of black coffee at all. I think it's just too bitter, but I've tried to kind of get into it just for health reasons, you know, because creamer is horrible for you. But they make macadamia nuts are very popular, you know, that's grown there too. And I had like the best cinnamon roll there, which was like a macadamia nut cinnamon roll. And I don't like nuts. Like, I like cashews and peanuts, but I don't like almonds and stuff like that. But it was there, and it was so good. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Like, I don't know. Maybe it was because the place is so beautiful. Everything tastes better. But what else? I went fishing. That was cool.
There you go.
Yep. So I got to peacock bass fish, and that was awesome. So
Really? What?
Are they native to there?
Not at all.
Okay.
Those fish are really only native to, I think, South America, if I'm not mistaken. They are not native to Florida at all. They're not native to Hawaii. On Kauai, they have a reservoir, for their water, and they are in that reservoir. They were introduced there. It's a blast to catch them. We try to catch them on artificial, and at the time when we went, I was sort of relatively new to bass fishing. I wasn't like really new, but I was new to throwing like hard baits, and that's what he had. I was throwing a lot of soft plastic stuff when I first started. So but that ended up not really working well. We started fishing with like a little bream, or a little like tiny bluegill. They were only like probably like, I don't know, like 2 inches, 1.5 to 2 inches. Put them on circle hooks, toss them out there, dude. And boom, they take off. And she caught the biggest fish and I think the most fish that day. But dude, that was a blast. I'd love to go try to catch those again. It's like, they're a little even private. I don't, at the time, this is what I said. And I probably still agree. They fight harder than smallmouth. Like they really like the bulldog and head shake and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun and they're absolutely gorgeous. And what's really cool about them is that they can be kind of so different. Like you could catch one, it's just like really vibrant green and orange. And then you could catch ones of like a little bit different colors, and like it's sort of, I don't know if it's kind of like what you see with bass. You know how you see bass that they may tend to be on like the deeper side or versus one that's in vegetation shallow and the color differences you'll see like light and dark. Like, I don't know if that's playing into it. Because like some of them you'll see them like where they're in, somebody's catching them in Miami or South America and they're like crazy different, I would assume it's kind of the thing, but I just learned this the other day, why they have that big spot on their tail is to kind of like be like a third eye. And it's for, I think it's a predatory thing. I can't remember if it's for predator. Yeah, exactly. But those were a ton of fun to catch. It was a lot of fun. Let me try to think. Something that's really cool, and it's known for it. Another movie was recorded out there. I can't remember what it was called though. But the Nepali coastline is like absolutely stunning and gorgeous. And I was awful during it because I do not do well on big boats and big waves. Like I get motion sickness kind of easy. I can do it in my kayak. I have to take motion sickness pills a lot of times if I know I'm going to be fishing a lake. So I got out there and like 15 minutes in, I'm like, this is the most god awful thing I've ever been on. Like, dude, like it's so stunningly beautiful, and I could not enjoy 15 minutes of it, dude. Like it was just first 15 minutes in, and we were on that thing for an hour and a half. I was like an hour, 15 minutes of just being miserable, dude. And it was crazy. It's because we finally stopped, and they stopped to do like this little lunch thing and have people if they want to scuba dive. And I just immediately jumped off. Like I was like, throw me a life jacket. I'm jumping off like this boat right now because I needed to get off the rockingness. You know, I could get in the water and not feel it as much. So I did that, and it was kind of crazy. Like I moved all over that boat. They'd be like, try sitting over here. I've heard that works. Or sit over here. And I'm like, but
it's all still on the boat. Come on.
Yeah.
Like they were like sit on the front. I'm like, now my kidney's hurt because you just hit the waves. Like just
there's like when we were out in Lake Michigan last year, going out was fine, but we had headwind coming in back to shore, and beautiful view of the skyline. Everything's looking great. And then the two guys who were firemen with me were doing a charter. Just both them just hanging off the one almost actually went overboard because he was so motion sick. When they hit the wave, we had to grab him because he was about to go right over. He's like, it was great up until this point. And he goes, I'm never getting on another trap again out there.
Yeah, dude. Like I've had friends that be like, dude, you want to go deep sea fishing? And I'm like, I don't think I can do it. And I honestly don't. Cause I mean, you know, like I've been on houseboats before that have been docked. And when I get done and I get back home, like for 3 days, dude, I'm a mess. Like I found out that I have an inner ear issue where when I get on there and I get what's it called? Vertigo real easy from the fluid in my ear shifting around like that on a consistent basis. If I'm on one for a short period of time, I'm good. But if it's going to be like hours or like days, like I will be a mess. Like I fished on one of our local lakes here and I was out there for like 9 hours and it was really, I was in the Jackson Coosa HD and so I was paddling. So I was ending up having to be like on the shore a lot, you know what I mean, to fish because like I just at the time I think I forgot my anchor or whatever, and the whole time I'm just sitting there like this trying to fish, and for 9 hours my head is just rocking. And the next day I went to work and I almost passed out, dude. Like, and I had no idea why. I thought something was wrong. I thought I was having like a stroke because I got real bad tunnel vision where everything got real dark around me. And literally almost passed out and went to the doctor the next day. And he's like, I think you just have vertigo. You have something that's going on, you know, where you get in those in a kayak or boat or whatever. And if it's for a prolonged period of time, it just, you know, the fluid in your inner ear is like all out of whack or whatever. So that's why I take that motion sickness stuff, dude. Like anytime I know I'm going to be out for a while, and it helps actually, it helps out a lot. So, but back to Kauai, the Nepali coastline was cool. Something we drove by, which was kind of cool, is there's the missile sites out there. You know, like there is a military base out there. I cannot remember what it is, but it was kind of cool. You could kind of tell like you were in like a weird area. You know, Dan knows how it is. Air Force, like when they come through and build something, they strip the shit out of everything, and it gets like real barren sort of looking like in the area. And it's crazy because you're like on this lush like rainforest island, and then this one side is like it's like the beach grew exponentially, you know what I mean? And it was like the perfect site for them. It rains every day there. It's like the wettest place on earth, but the weather's gorgeous. It's kind of weird. Like it's because you're on that island, the rain comes and goes. Like it's like 15 minutes, it's done. The food, that's where I learned GMOs, like genetically modified like stuff. So there's a huge, I'm convinced that Hawaii is where this started. The movement for that started. And I learned a lot there about it. I didn't understand it when I was here, like just in your normal kind of grocery store setting, but I kept seeing it everywhere. And eventually what I ended up learning was that Hawaii has like the perfect ecosystem for people to grow crops because it is literally like the same temperature year round. It's like 75 degrees. There's a ton of moisture and it doesn't fluctuate much from there. Right. And so like companies,
season all the time.
Yeah. So like they can grow crops year round and there's no drought issue and there's no cold weather issue. On top of that, there's not a lot of crazy insect activity out there. There's not it's really weird, dude. Like there's not a lot of predatory stuff. Like there's wildlife there, but it's not destructive, I guess, crop wise. But companies like Dole operate there. Right. And Dole is a giant food manufacturer.
Right.
So what it is that I don't know if this is a GMO thing that they have going on there or more of a residential local being pissed off, but they buy up a ton of land. So like these, food manufacturers own a lot of property out there. And they're farming it and stuff like that. And I think the locals aren't too ecstatic about it because not only are they doing GMO testing type stuff too, but they're taking up a lot of land, because it's expensive to live there. It's crazy expensive to live there. And most of the people that end up living there it's like a vacation home for them. You know what I mean? Like there's not
high rollers.
Exactly. So, but it's a beautiful place, dude. When we went like one of the first weekends of the off season, and it really wasn't like that far in. It was around the middle of September. I want to say September 20th is approximately between the 11th and the 20th is when we went. And we got our place. We went for 6 days, 7 nights, something weird like that. And it wasn't even $2,000 for the condo that we stayed at.
Oh, wow. That's
so it was
good.
It was like renting a place on the mainland. The crazy thing that is expensive there is eating. Groceries are super expensive because a lot of stuff is imported over. So like a gallon of milk is crazy expensive, like compared to what it is here. You're looking at like, $5-6 for a gallon of milk,
Wow.
But that's why a lot of people grow their own food there. Like they buy property like that. So, and then they grow their own fruits and vegetables to try to cut that cost down. So
that's quite similar to the last podcast I had with Josiah. And we were talking about the Alaskan way of life. And it almost, he said the same thing. Anything that's on the mainland's like, they don't raise cow, they don't have dairy. So all that has to be imported to the island he stays on. Mm-hmm. And, again, they pay, if you really want it, and that's what he said, like, if you really want something like that, you're going to pay for it or you learn to live without it.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people don't, tend to do dairy or anything, extra that would come if you can't live off the land.
Exactly. And that's how they are there too. Like, it's, we ate this burger joint like called Bubba's Burgers, dude. It was like literally like a food truck, man. They were so good though. It was like one of the best cheeseburgers I had. And it's funny because my wife was like, she's not like into eating cheeseburgers a lot. She'll eat them occasionally, but it was her idea. Like she liked them so much. Like we ate there like at least once a day, whether it was for lunch or dinner. And they were really, it was really good. The beef is raised there on the island and stuff. So, but they have, I mean, obviously they have like cows there and stuff, but they don't have enough like to sustain like having like dairy like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because on the mainland it's mass produced, so it's not really, you know, I don't know. It was crazy. Like we were gonna go grocery shopping and we decided not to because when we calculated how much we would spend in a day, like of just eating out, it was gonna be a slightly less than actually buying the groceries for the time that we're gonna be there.
Wow.
So
that's also, and you also think about the time and all that too. You know, you're saving, if you could save, you know, or if you're saving money, you're also saving time that way as well.
Yeah, and we were on the move all the time, like. But it's really cool too, man. Like there's one main road that goes almost all the way around, but it doesn't connect. We went on a hike to some areas that were really cool. Do you guys remember there's a oh gosh, I want to say I can't remember it. Leonardo DiCaprio when he was younger was in a movie and they were on the beach. What was that called?
The Beach.
Is that what it's called? The Beach? I think that might have been recorded out there too. Like but this one place that we hiked to, this one beach is like known for one of the scariest undertows. Like people drown out there all the time. I've actually seen it on like some of the nature channels like Discovery or something like that. We hiked down there and went and checked it out. It's kind of freaky a little bit because it's very unassuming and you kind of don't realize like kind of what's happening. But that hike was scary. Like, my wife made me look like a chump on the hiking trail out there. She was just flying around and I was wearing these sketchy shoes and I kept slipping all over the place. But I killed I don't know. I don't think I killed it, but I had a fight with using a magazine and a giant centipede. And the thing was about seriously 2 feet long and stood about 2 inches off the ground. Scariest bug I've ever seen in my entire life. I hit it with a magazine as hard as I could, didn't do anything to it. It just looked back and ran away. And then I was like, dude, that thing's hiding in this place and we're going to sleep in here. Like, I finally somehow got it. I don't remember. I didn't kill it. I got it outside. So I don't remember what I did though, but, yeah.
So Josh, I'm actually looking on Google Maps right now and looking at some places. Was the beach you're talking about, Honopu, Honopu, and they have like an art. Yeah,
it's like a what?
They have like a art, like an art that was eroded out around there. Yep, that's it. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, seeing pictures of that, it looks really nice.
It's like hard to get to though, dude. Like it's a hike to get down over there. Like it doesn't.
Oh, I'm looking at the terrain right now, and you got a lot. You have a lot of climbing to do off that peak there. And just south of there, there's like a canyon and waterfall too. It looks like on the map, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude. And what's really cool is like in the middle of the island, because it's like a volcano point, like basically, you know, like you've got a summit and it's right in the middle of the island. The island is small, like compared to some, you know, like to the big island, obviously. Like it's really small. Right. It only takes like an hour to drive almost all the way around it. And that's not because it's that big. It's just that much traffic because it's like one main road. So like everybody's traveling on that same road. But what's cool is like in the middle of the island, and you can almost see this at any point, is a waterfall in the middle of the island. And
that's what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, like we had to eat pizza at one restaurant and you can see that waterfall. And then like you can be on the other side of the island doing something else and you still can see that. And then there's a really big waterfall that people jump off of. Somebody got hurt real bad doing it. But we went out there and like Laura, I think she said when she was younger, they actually jumped off of it, but now it's all like closed off and stuff like that. So, cause so many people have gotten injured.
You were talking about the Jurassic Park. It shows the Jurassic Park falls too.
Yeah.
Now, My question to you is: did you guys fly into Honolulu and then ferry over to that island?
No.
How'd you guys get there?
I think there's an airport there. So
Okay.
that's wild. Like coming in on such a small island, like, landing there. And so yeah, dude, it was a lot of fun. I'm trying to think of some of the other crazy. We went like zip lining, but we'd done that before, so it wasn't like real crazy.
Right.
I don't know. I think one of my favorite things was just like seeing sea turtles. Like I'd never seen them before. Like, and so and seeing them in Hawaii, and like, there's like 6 of them right there. I didn't have to pay for a guided trip to go see them or anything like that. We stopped at a beach and saw them, went back, got some stuff, to snorkel with that was sitting in the condo, and literally like, it's just me and her. Like, and we would just like swim out a little bit and the current would just push you along and you'd end up right back on to the beach, you know what I mean? And walk back up, like 30, 40 yards, get back in the water, swim out a little bit and just drift right across the top of them.
That's cool.
So,
What were they doing? Just hanging out there?
they eat the coral. Like they chomp down on it when it starts to break apart like that. So, but yeah, we, in our condo, man, it was in like a complex, and we could have picked the better one, man. It was like right on this giant bluff wall. So it was like this huge, like, 60-foot straight down cliff right there on the edge. And we're just sitting right there on the edge of it. So on our condo, it was pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Any volcano stuff going on while you were there?
No, not at all. They don't have their stuff's it's not active at all on there.
Okay.
So I think there's tours that you can do, but you'd have to go over to the main island. You know what I mean? That where it's active like that. I don't know if they had anything. I don't think that they did anything that was going out of Kauai that would go there and come back. I think you actually have to go over to that island and then book something over there. But we were going to book a helicopter ride, but we heard they're a little on the dangerous side. Like somebody was like, "Oh, I don't know," and I'm like, "Really?" Like, and they're like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Well, why is it so sketchy?" And I couldn't get a straight answer because I kept wondering if it was like the terrain, you know what I mean, might cause it. Because how certain areas will have like weird things that have like thermal issues, like Atlanta Airport. Like you fly in Atlanta Airport and you swear you're getting bombed. And, and you don't understand it. The only thing I can think of is that the thermals that come off that hot city is just weird. And it's pushing, I don't know what it is. But I was asking if that's what it is that like if the wind is bouncing off that mountain, if it's, what kind of contributes to it. And they said yes. And then also neglect possibly, like, they are
Mechanical.
small, like, maybe it's some mechanical issues mixed in with it and whatnot. But so we ended up not doing it. It was kind of overpriced too. That was one thing that I saw that was like, yeah, that's probably not really worth it, but
I'm not getting a helicopter no matter what. Them damn things. They don't have wings. How can something fly that doesn't have wings? No.
It's got little ones on the tail, little tiny ones, right?
Yeah. It's funny. My father-in-law, he used to fly around with the power company inspecting lines on them, but he wouldn't get in a plane. He would only get in helicopters.
Yeah, which is harder to fly too. You know what I mean? Like, which is like, there's a lot going on for the pilots for helicopters. Like, you got to be on your point, on game, constant, dude. But yeah, man, it's the funnest trip that I've ever taken. And like, I'd love to go back someday. It is expensive to obviously go there. But overall for the trip for us, what we did, like the way we did it, it wasn't outrageous. I think we got our plane tickets as a gift, as a, for getting married. It was like part of our wedding gift. I think my parents, my mom and my sister gave us like money to use while we're there. So like relatively out of pocket, like we didn't spend like a crazy absorbent amount. So, but yeah, I recommend if you go to Hawaii and you want like a chill trip, like, you know what I mean? Like it's not it's not super commercialized there by any means. Like, you know,
Cool.
it got the old school surf town feeling to it. Like everybody, I don't think anybody there works. I think they surf, and everybody owns a Toyota Tacoma with a surf rack on it. Like the whole island does, dude. I'm not kidding. Like you could drive for 10 minutes and count 40 something Toyota Tacomas, like easily. Everybody owns that truck and everybody surfs. And I don't think hardly any of them work. So
There you go.
but why would you want to, right? If you could kind of
if you live in a paradise.
yeah. So
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, I just want to take a minute and thank both you guys for your. Actually, we got a lot, to talk about over this episode. I don't have a final decision yet on where I'm going. We're going to go look at Hawaii right now. But before you hopped in, Josh, we were initially, and when we were talking in the group chat, we were looking at Lake Tahoe and found out it is pretty expensive just to get there for the airfare alone.
yeah.
And they're in peak season. So alternatively, we are probably looking at going to Key West, and Dan, that's where his honeymoon was too. So got some ideas, bounced back and forth off of Dan on that, but we're not throwing Hawaii out the ring yet. So that's what, after this is done, we're going to go take a look and see.
And it is expensive to fly there. I mean, you're looking at almost $2,000 probably.
That's funny because it's $2,000 to go to Lake Tahoe, and that's on the mainland.
Yeah. So it could be more. It could be more. I think it's all also super dependent on when you're trying to book it. Obviously, like we had decided ours quite a bit ways out. So like we were almost probably a year out when we made that decision to go there, and so yeah, it was kind of crazy, but I've heard a lot of good things about Key West, man. It's a good party time. Like it's a good time. So I've never been down there, but can't go wrong. It's a honeymoon, man. If you just the key is you're gonna you're newly married. You guys are gonna have fun. You gotta take that phone, shut it off, man. Enjoy each other's time wherever you go. So
absolutely.
Don't get divorced. Did you hear me? Did you hear me, Dan? I said, and don't get divorced. Because dude, you could go to the most magical place on earth, like Hawaii, and still end up divorced like me. So it's all good.
Well, that's most people, man.
Yeah, I know. But like, I don't know. Where's Lake Tahoe? Is that in?
It's in two states, right? Nevada and California.
Yeah,
it's like on the border.
It's west of Reno and east of Sacramento, to kind of give you a coordination of it. 2 hours east of Sacramento, 45 minutes west of Reno.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Dude, have you thought about doing like a road trip?
Yeah, we have, and we're kind of I mean, she was like, "How about if we drive all the way down to Key West?" I'm like, "It's just as bad as driving all the way out west."
Yeah, Key West is like 14 hours from here, and I'm probably 8 hours. I think I'm 8 hours from you. But that would be.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we actually found
drive.
pretty relatively cheap airfare down there too. So.
Yeah, I was thinking like maybe you guys stop in different places. You know what I mean? Like pick like 5 or 6 different places and be like, don't.
Yep.
That'd be kind of cool.
Fly to Orlando and then do some stuff on the way. Orlando is always a cheap flight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and like for us back to Midway, you'd have to go to Fort Lauderdale and then fly from Fort Lauderdale. So I actually did. So I did that trip back in 2019 where we came up from the Keys to Miami, and I didn't realize how. I mean, on the map it's close, but how far away in Miami traffic Fort Lauderdale is to get to that airport, man. It's like another hour if you're coming from South Beach, So it does take some time to get there.
I don't know how much stuff is left. I know the Bahamas got, tore up by a hurricane.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're down in Miami, you can take the ferry over to the Bahamas.
Yep. Yeah, we did look at that as well as part of the option too. The only thing is, which we have, you got to carry it around, but they want to see proof of vaccination and stuff like that going that way too. So
lame.
That's the one thing I don't want to lose while carrying.
Like, how do you do that? I mean, you know what? Fine, get vaccinated, but how do you be like, oh, you got to carry something? Like, nah. I don't. Dude, this world is getting crazier by the day, isn't
it? Yep. But you know what?
Well, good luck, man. No matter where you go, good luck.
Yep.
Yeah, appreciate it. I appreciate you guys hopping on.
Wherever you go, just it's all about her.
Yep. Well, we're gonna give a. That's right.
I love it, Dan. Dan, you could not say a single curse word and come up with the best, most inappropriate thing. It's so awesome.
Yep.
I love it.
Thank you.
So wasn't expecting it.
Oh man.
Well, hey, JP, guys, congratulations, man.
Yeah,
thanks, buddy. And hey, on that, it's time for one sip. Everybody knows the rules, so we can close out the show.
Oh.
Anybody, Dan, you got one you want to try real quick, or give a one sip on that?
I've got that high quality H2O.
Yeah, just all right.
This is kind of like H2O, but it's actually pretty local and it's pretty tasty. It's Goose Island 312 Shady.
White Sox orders, all right.
Yeah. So this part has been brought to you by Rocktown Adventure. Gear up and head out if you're in Northern Illinois for all your kayaking and hiking needs. And we'll let you know how this goes right now. Cheers.
Shandy for the ladies.
All right. You guys have a good night. I'll talk to you soon.
You too, Josh.
See ya.
Everybody.
And for those listening, that's Summertime in a Glass right there. Can't beat it. It is very lemony. Well, hang on one second. Oh, Dan's gone. Well, everyone, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for listening to this episode. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another destination for you. Thanks for tuning in to Off the Water. Till next time, peace.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle_and_fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle_and_fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in Northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. Shout out to Jig Masters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com